probably.
Okay.
I'd like to call the county board meeting to order, and thank you all for being here, staff and guests, and would you please rise and join me in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's kind of like church, you know, the pews on one side and then, you know, a few people on the other, so.
More like the sinners are over there and the believers.
Hey.
Wrong side.
All right. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll when you're ready?
Bruner. Here. Lorenzen. Here. Farnham. Chittick. Ludington.
Here.
Patrick.
Here.
Voigt.
Here. Next item is to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on February 13th, 2020, and a special meeting on February 20th of 2020. You had those minutes before you, board members, so if you have any questions or clarifications, otherwise, a motion to approve those minutes as presented by the clerk. Phil moved, Derek seconds.
Second that. Fine.
All those in favor of the minutes as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They are carried. Claims against the county. Likewise, you've had those before you for a few days. Do you have any questions or clarifications that are needed? Hearing none, a motion to approve. Derek moves, Andy seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They do carry. County board claims, county board member claims. Do you have any questions about those? Hearing none, motion to approve. Derek moves, Dan seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They're approved. Now we move to the portion of the meeting where the public can make comments. We ask that you identify yourself and keep your comments to 5 minutes. We have a rostrum up there. If you wish to stand and come up there, you're welcome to. So, public comments, anybody?
I'm here on behalf of the airport board. Go ahead.
My name's Jake Barrett, and we've had a reoccurring instances out there of harassment, courtesy of Chris Patrick. At our last airport board meeting, the only thing we could think of to resolve it is to just not renew his T-hanger lease. It's not kicking him out, but it's not accommodating him. We don't know where that power lies, if Tom as a manager has that authority, or if that lies on you, the county board. Our concern is just the liability of him threatening people, chasing off county employees that were there to salt and sand the entryway. That was a sheet of ice that morning and is a liability otherwise. You know, a lot of people walking in and out of there, slip and fall. We don't know what else to do. If anything, at minimum, I'd like to see in the new contract for the T-hanger leases a non-harassment clause of some sort that you could be terminated for being, you guys come up with the verbiage on how to say it, but I think you understand what I'm saying here. Because it's been going on for a long time, it's not an isolated incident, and we don't know what else to do. So that's what we came up with. Take that as you will, and that's all.
I have a question. When is the T-hanger lease due up?
Tom might know better than I do. I knew it was coming up soon. June 1.
June 1.
Okay,
And Tom, there are 2 people waiting for that T-hanger, so it wouldn't go empty.
okay.
So,
I was aware, and I think the board is somewhat aware tangentially, and I talked to the county board member that works with you. And we will come up with something that hopefully is workable for all.
Well, we appreciate it, because like I said, we feel that it's a liability to the county otherwise, so that's where we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate it. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move along with the resolution to clarify purpose of public safety tax. And I guess I'll read it pursuant, whereas pursuant to 55 ILCS 5-5-1006.5, a county board of any county may impose a tax upon all persons engaged in business of selling tangible property at retail in the county on gross receipts for sales made in the course of business for public safety purposes. And whereas on the December 11th, 2019, at the regular meeting, the county board passed a resolution which authorized the county clerk to place a referendum on the ballot of the March 17th, 2020 general primary for 1% sales tax to be implemented if passed by the electors to pay the public safety purposes. Therefore, the county board will use the proceeds of the public sales safety sales tax exclusively for the purpose of supporting the operation of the Edgar County Sheriff's Department, which may include the renovation of the current jail or construction of the new jail. We wish to reiterate that at one of our last hearings or study sessions with the public, special meeting. It was suggested that citizens would like to hear that reiterated so that we clarified the purpose of that tax and hopefully would create, if not a binding, but at least a future suggestion to future county boards that this is what this tax was passed for and dedicated to. So in case 10, 15 years from now, somebody came up with a brilliant idea of something different than this, that they would have this resolution to fall back on. That's our intent. Is there a motion to approve this? Andy moves, Dan seconds. Further discussion? Roll, please.
Brunner.
Yes.
Lorenzen.
Yes.
Ludington.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
And I would like to vote
Voight.
yes. I hope you appreciate what we're trying to do there so that there's just no question about what it's to be used for. Okay, moving along. The support of the new state, our support of form a new state. Where are we at on that, Augie? Do we have anything to present to the board this morning? And I'm sorry if I haven't done my homework right. Or were we gonna hold that off till the April meeting?
Well, I have the resolution, but in all the chaos of getting ready for the election, I forgot to make a copy of it for you gentlemen. The revised copy, so.
The revised copy?
Yeah, we've got a revised
I have
copy.
it, yeah.
How is it revised? I mean, if it's
We-
easy.
You wanna read it?
Yeah, what you have there is not in any way, shape, or form official. It's not something that we developed, but I took that information and I revised it, and the chairman has a copy of it.
Yes, I did. I got electronically yesterday.
I'd be glad to read it unless you want to.
Well, let's read it.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is a resolution to add a referenda on November 3rd, 2020 general election ballot for separation from Cook County. First paragraph. Whereas a number of Edgar County residents feel that the political and economic conditions that currently exist throughout the entire state of Illinois have become overburdensome and counter to a significant amount of the Illinois populace. And whereas a number of Edgar County citizens have requested the Edgar County Board to give their constituents the opportunity to be officially heard. Therefore, be it resolved that the County Board of Edgar County directs the Edgar County Clerk to add the following question to the November 3rd, 2020 general election ballot. And here's the question. shall the board of Edgar County correspond with the boards of the other counties of this state outside of Cook County and with the municipalities of Cook County outside of the city of Chicago about the possibility of separating from the city of Chicago to form a new state and to seek admission to the union as such, subject to the approval of the people. Yes or no? Now that language, that came right from other sample resolutions that we had.
And that are actually on the ballot for next Tuesday. I think what, Shelby, is it?
Effingham County has
Effingham
that,
County.
basically that's that language on their ballot.
So,
You want to maybe explain why they would like for us to do the resolution versus the signature route?
well, yeah, and they could circulate petitions, and I can't remember how many they have to get names, but a bunch.
A bunch.
Or the county board can pass this resolution, thereby sidestepping that and allowing the folks in this county to make their feelings known. And it seemed to be appropriate. And so that's why it's before you today. What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Move the resolution. Derek moves, Andy seconds. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Appreciate all the work you did on it.
Roll.
Yes, please.
Brunner.
Yes.
Lorenzen.
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
4-0, Jack, you want, no?
That's fine. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Next, we need to file Administrative Order 2020-3, reappointing Martha Irwin as Jury Commissioner. Entertain a motion. Dan moves. Phil seconds. Do we need a roll call on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, Marty is reappointed. Now we come to the portion of the meeting where we ask our elected officials and department heads to make reports. And we'll start off with you. I'm sorry, I almost forgot you. Aaron?
I just wanted to remind you that we got good numbers on our bid last Friday for our HSIP guardrail project. Chairman and I concurred with awarding it last Friday, so
Okay.
got numbers that, the winning bid was 8% below bid, so,
Or below estimate?
or below estimate, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Any questions of our highway engineer?
Would you like to lay out a little bit for everyone, the contents of the most recent email you sent out in regards to our funding? and where we stand
Jeff,
on
you
that?
want to, or you want me to?
I think it's
I
important
prefer
everybody
the
knows
chairman
about
do it,
that.
but I'd be glad to.
Well, we're still not seeing, we're at a low point in funding. And it's not been that low for what, 15 years?
Yeah.
Even with the added amounts. Last month, we got a supplemental check that jumped it right up. And as we talked about it,
January, right?
2 months ago.
was it 2 months ago? I thought it was, okay. At any rate, this is part of the problem in our funding source is we don't have any long-term prognosis of what it's gonna be because of the way it's up and down. And I assume that the engineers meeting hasn't helped clarify that any. Aaron goes to the engineers meeting and I assume that transportation is there some of the time and nobody can give us any assurance or any other county what our long-term, what to expect. Go ahead, you were gonna ask a
Correct.
question.
So, we got a big check in January, and so we didn't know exactly what that was for. We were hopeful that was indicative of this tax increase at the pump, and meant we were gonna get more motor fuel tax.
That's correct.
Turns out in February, we got a much smaller check,
That's correct.
right? And we got our March check, right?
We
didn't
did.
just get that, and it's much smaller.
That's
So,
correct.
taking the big January check and combining it, spreading it out over across those 3 months, the check that we got for March, those two payments combined, is less than we have received since 2005,
or two, yeah, I can't remember, yeah, ever since we started tracking.
So I have to think that there is, everyone that sits in your position and every county board that sits behind their engineers is screaming to the state what's going on, right?
I
think
don't,
South
I don't
Bay-
know if everybody's screaming or not, but I would say that, that.
I mean,
there's
are we the only ones in this situation?
No.
With record low payments?
No,
Okay. And it's also all over the map, right?
that's correct.
Okay. And
But to paint it in a clearest perspective as we can, which the tax that was passed and along with the capital bill and the increased funding that was supposed to occur last July, we are still, our allotment with the additional dollars is still less than it was 15 years ago. And that should really make you guys think. I mean, the salaries and material costs, the cost to do business has done nothing but increase, and we're still getting less than we got 15 years ago.
well, and this is our forum to let the public know what's going on. And so
Yes.
I think it's vital that they understand
I
where we
appreciate
are.
you
And if
asking
they
that.
can make calls to their representatives and their, any representation at the state level and just, call and ask, hey, what's going on? I'm paying more at the pump and my county has much less than they've received in over a decade.
Correct.
So is there something going on? And even with that, just to Jeff's point, right? Anybody who's sat in these chairs at all in their lives know that you can't program anything if you don't know what your funding is. That goes to the safety tax issue, right?
Absolutely.
We can't talk about building a new jail if we don't know what our funding is when we ask for any kind of help from a bond issue or bank or whatever. So that same thing works at our level for building roads. And so this is a big problem. I just wanted to bring it out, so thanks guys for talking about it.
And Derek's been very, don't get me wrong too, there are folks that inquire, and I usually pass them along to Jeff, road commissioners and such, and say, I'd rather the chairman answer that. But it is very, very difficult to get a handle on what you can or can't do. Gary reports it all the time in the paper. I think he's done a really good job. Typically, our jobs take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to implement. And I want to think that, I know, because I've heard, our board wants the highway department to press, and I've gotten to a point where I'm pushing back a little bit on the board and saying, we could get ourselves in real trouble 4 or 5 years from now, anticipating, because let's
Well,
be honest.
to my point,
Yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
okay, yeah, to my point is that our engineers put us in a position where and advised us, and we're communicating, the board and the engineer and his staff, and making sure we're not overcommitted. Unfortunately, we're being a little conservative, but we have to be, so that we don't wind up in the position he's talking about. It doesn't mean that we're not prepared if something opens up and we do get some continuity in funding that's more appropriate to what we thought it was gonna be.
Sure. I mean, I view it as our job, so the 7 members of the board and the county engineer, is to be as aggressive as we can, keeping our infrastructure where it needs to be and supporting our local businesses, and also being a good fiduciary of the monies that come our way. So that balancing act, it gets harder and harder
Yes.
as we move forward. So I appreciate your efforts and all that you've done, and hopefully we can get through this period and continue to be aggressive and do good things we can.
I think that sums it up excellently, and kudos to you and your staff for keeping us in the position we're in.
Thank you, guys.
Okay? Any other questions of our engineer? Samantha?
Good morning. Nothing additional other than Monday's reports. February, fairly busy month, even though it was a shorter month. Yesterday, many of you have heard there was a fatal accident on 150 last week. So yesterday, we got together as all agencies involved, from the coroner to fire to dispatch to EMS. We met at the fire training center and did a formal debrief with everyone. And I felt it was very successful. We had a couple of takeaways from there that we can work forward on training in the future.
Any questions? And Sam normally is out there at the meetings, the study sessions, or tries to be. So we have good communications there. We appreciate that. Are there any further questions? Sheriff?
Not much, just still working on a jail, the new part's taking shape, everybody can kinda get an idea what it's gonna look like now. Moving up to the old part, so it's starting to progress a little bit. Plodding along.
Yes, sir.
Jeff, will there be an open house? I read or heard that
Yeah, maybe down the road a little closer, we're still a good ways from that yet.
prior to bringing people back in or their
Yeah.
main team. A lot of people would like to see that family.
Okay. Any questions of the sheriff? And our communications are good with his staff and the sheriff, and have been ever since we've gotten into this. We're trying to do the best we can, all of us working together. Angie?
Not too much going on. Our office is running smoothly. As you can see, Ross finally got our computer set up on the bench upstairs as well. So we're in an effort to go paperless, but that's a long process. But moving along.
Okay. Any questions of Angie? Tom?
Had a good February on fuel sales. Only have records back through 15, but it's the best February we've had in that period of time.
Okay. And we got everything ready for bids on the 5th of April, is that when it is?
Yes.
He did bring up to me that we need to make a selection of our engineer here in the next month. We did get 2 solicitations, so we need to move forward on that. So I assume the committee will let us know what they want to do, and we'll get that on the agenda for the April meeting. Okay? Does that sound all right?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Mary Lou. You got a big event this weekend out at the fairground.
Yeah. Junk sale.
Hey, I build it all up and then you say junk? Oh, my goodness. Anyway, it is a good weekend, and it normally rains, so I don't know what the forecast is.
Rain and snow.
Rain and snow. Well, all right. Well, we appreciate what you do out at the fairgrounds. Thank you. Monty?
Our most recent 2 probation officers have finally, after 3 years, completed all their certifications through the state, who is now doing training again. So we are officially fully certified and staffed in probation. So something different anyways.
And we're always on you about finances, so I want to let you know that he's finally caught up with last fiscal year, and we're starting on the new one.
Okay.
All right, so onward and upward, right, Monty?
I hope upward anyways.
Thank you. Any questions of Monty and probation? Scott, how are you doing?
Good, real good.
Nice to have a representative from the Housing Authority.
Well, I'm here for the coroner's office, so scratch that.
Okay, slash, how about that?
There you go.
Housing Authority / coroner.
And I guess this is more directed for Andy, with my lease out there with the hospital. You know, I think it was a 4-year lease, which will be coming up on the end of this year, beginning of next. The reason I ask that is, one thing I'd like to do is build some sort of a divider between my, I have the northernmost garage bay and then the office, which I love, I'm thrilled with. It worked out really well when the ambulance was using it. Now that it's went back to hospital maintenance using the other half, my sense of privacy for, things that I need, to be kept private out there. Sometimes I don't necessarily have control over that anymore. Who's going to be walking in on the hospital side, and I have the money in my budget because I don't really have a lot of expenses now that things are going well. I'd like to build some sort of a divider there, but I don't know if the lease allows me to do that, and I don't want to do it if that's a lease that they're not interested in renewing with us. That would also include wanting to put like some sort of a utility sink out there, which there is plumbing out there. That's not a big deal. They've already got one on the other side. But can you find out if that's a possibility? Like I said, the cost I can completely absorb into my budget. Won't be a problem. I just want to make sure I'm not going to do it, and then 10 months from now be told, out you go, and we're keeping your sink. So.
I'll check.
Okay, just let me know.
Okay.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that if the lease contract allows you to build inside the garage, the hospital should fire their lawyer. We can figure that out.
It's a needed addition though, and like I said, it worked, you know, the ambulance had a great understanding for what was going on the side. Staff, you know, and by no fault of their own, but they just don't. And, so, just let me know.
I'll check it.
All right, other than that, it's going well.
Okay.
Thank you. Jill?
We had our weather spotter training on Monday night. We had about 38 people attend. We've been doing exercise planning meetings. Our exercise is scheduled for May 14th this year, and we've been getting a lot of stuff with the whole coronavirus and all this stuff. We've been having to do plans and come up with plans, so we've been working really well with the health department, getting those done. So I just had to have 2 in, one by Friday and one by yesterday, I guess, to the state. So other than that, that's about it. Oh, we had to come up with, which, like I said, it's mostly with the health department, so I've been working with Marissa Beck for an alternative housing plan in case we would have to quarantine, whatever, kind of keep people. So she came up with the plan to use one of the hotels north of town. Basically, they would go in and we had to basically figure out how they were gonna get medical treatment, how they were gonna get food to them, you know, cleaning, that kind of stuff. And so that was all basically wrote out in that plan, and who would be in charge of what, and chain of command and that kind of thing.
Okay. Any questions? Dina?
But considering what we do, we're quite happy right now. We've just received from the Department of Revenue that Edgar County has received a 1 multiplier again. State law requires us to be at 33.33%. We are at 33.31. So we are very pleased with that. We recently sent out a little over 11,000 reassessment notices, and as of this week, we have received 28 complaints.
Flights?
Bid package is ready to go. Ross will put it on the website later this week, and we'll receive it up until April 10th, I believe is the date I put.
It's that time again. Last flight was what, 2 years ago?
2017.
Was it
So we'll fly in
2000?
21 every 4 years. Yep.
Gets away sometimes. By the way, Ross, just to backtrack, we did approve that. Okay, so it's a matter of record now, and it will be on the ballot in November. Okay? All right. Wyatt, Farm Bureau, we're happy to have you here. Do you have anything you wish to discuss?
Not unless you have any questions, any info that the Farm Bureau can provide.
The only thing that I would, go ahead, please.
Well, we talked about the wind farm ordinance.
That's what I was.
Getting them involved.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Iroquois County ordinance has been sent up to our home office, and they're looking through it, and they're supposed to have their suggestions back to me as soon as they can.
Okay, well, just to carry it a little farther, we're hoping to have that on the, reprocessed once we get the suggestions back and get the proposed ordinance online. And we're having a meeting, and that has been marked down. They can take us on the 23rd at 7 o'clock up at the American Tap, where the old Colonial Kitchen used to be. They have a conference room there that's large enough. And we will be hoping that a representative, maybe from Farm Bureau, could be there, and some other representatives. So we're handling that.
Yeah, I will do my best to get somebody down from home office.
I
If not,
understand.
that we'll try and have as much local representation as we can.
Very good. And of course, we will be advertising that in the paper and making sure that it's online and everybody has a chance to look at those documents before we move forward at the April meeting. Okay? Any questions about that, gentlemen? Yes, ma'am.
The last time we had a wind project on the ridge, it was complete, ready to go. I completely, with the legal beagle that had it Peoria and Industry, we rewrote it and the implementation phase with the group led by Joe Goodner of Ridge Farm. I already researched and turned in every single parcel in the county to those people. So if it would save the county some money to have access to those records, to not have to reinvent the wheel, just let me know. We'll get anything that we possibly can to you folks. It was a go, it was stopped because during the Obama administration, all green energy projects went to a forum in Oregon, all were shut down.
I will ask the engineer to get your name and contact information.
Anything that helps you saves money,
Well,
tag me in.
All right, thank you, we appreciate that.
And may I give a note of praise?
Yes, please.
We have a very
We'd like
fine
that.
sheriff's department.
You what?
We have a very fine sheriff's department. Over the last 3 or 4 years, I have a security system that if they cannot get a hold of me, they dispatch Edgar County to come and check my farm. And I just want to say, for as far away as I am, I'm on the very north end. Their response time, their training, their professionalism, I'd put them up against anybody. And I think they just sometimes need to hear that, and maybe the board needs to hear that we are very well taken care of, better than maybe a county a little bit to the north.
We appreciate your input.
Well, I
and your offer.
appreciate them.
All right,
We don't feel like we're alone up there.
thank you, ma'am. Anything else on that area? Augie?
Election next Tuesday, March 17th. We're very busy preparing for that. I lost a week last week because I was out with a virus, and so I'm playing catch up, but we will be ready. Currently, we have approximately 500 early voters, which it's been picking up, and it's a little better than I thought it would be, so I'm pleased with that. So I encourage everybody to get out and vote between now and March 17th.
Ross? Do you have anything from IT?
Trying not to break phones today. It didn't work so well, so we're gonna regroup and try it again. Trying to get the connection between the health and highway department set up.
Okay. I knew that was an issue, but. All right. As far as Don's trying to wrap up the year, we're having the auditors are gonna be in the 23rd. So he's trying to do all the accruals and get everything caught up and get the trial balances ready for them. I would note that we're early in the month. We did not have to borrow any money. We still have a positive cash flow. Actually, it has grown, so that's a good thing. We still haven't gotten in from the state income tax for this, the local use tax, the state's attorney, the supervisor of assessment. We've not got those checks, and we've been paid up, as I mentioned earlier, for probation through November. So we're expecting a payment from them fairly soon, Monty. We've received all of last year's state payments through November, except Jill, we have still not received the part that they, what is it, 18 or 19,000? So that's the only thing hanging out from
Check on
this.
it again.
Huh?
I will email her again and check on it,
Yeah.
but.
Tell her she's the only one left. So at any rate, okay, we'll go on to reports of the board members. Do you have anything, Dan?
I talked to Andrew Monday at the animal shelter. Everything's running fine, so no problems. Need an animal or dog, we probably have a few extra out there.
Okay. Got cats?
I got all the cats.
And, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right, I'm fine.
Andy?
If you need a cat, I got some cats.
The heating air system's up and running. It's brought,
I heard it.
that's what's heating. I asked Dan when I came in, I said, how do you feel? He said, well, not cold. I said, well, that's good. So now it's working. I was amazed when I walked by the the outside units there on the, out in the foyer out there, you feel it's quite a bit of heat coming out, so anyway. It's been a long road, but those guys got it up and running and pretty good, so.
When did it fire up?
This, last couple of days or so, couple days.
Yesterday they fired it up.
Yesterday.
Yeah, they ran the air conditioner for quite a while and it cooled the place down. And then they flipped the button and they turned the heat on and it really warmed the place up.
Okay.
So everything's working. I believe today, excuse me for getting in on your report, but John told me that today that he was gonna go around and talk to the various offices on how to run the thermostat.
Okay.
And what that's all about.
But I think it's interesting, you don't hear it running in the air. That was always the judges, you know, when you're running the air conditioners or, they told me it's quiet, you won't hear it. So
It's gonna run year round.
year round, heats and cools.
Pretty unobtrusive too, like, what, 3 cartridges?
They're working on getting I saw this morning, the sheriff told me that they're getting old windows that were, they're gonna try to get the air conditioners out, because that's part of the contract, is to take the air conditioners out and fix those windows, so.
We do need to look at the bills that are due. I think they came in a little late to get paid at the board meeting, so we need to make sure we process them and get them taken care of if we have something due. Same way with the airport, Tom. We have some bills that we need to make sure that are appropriate to get paid, and we do have money in that account, okay?
How will I see those bills?
I guess you could ask, I wish he would send them to, why don't you call Barry and have him send the bills to you so you can double check them? I'd appreciate that, okay? Or, I'll tell you what, Augie will forward them to you, okay? So we can double check them, make sure everything's appropriate. Okay? Phil? Derek?
I think all my thunder's been stolen, so.
I'm sorry, did I do that?
That's right, thunder was. I know. I like to come here and sound important, but I get nothing.
You could do a lecture on investing.
It's a good time to do it. How about that? That's what you're not supposed to do.
Okay, on finances, you'll start noticing on the income side, now that we've caught up with last year, we'll start seeing more funds coming in and registering on Fund 100. Don't have a whole lot to say. I mean, I'd like Augie to encourage everybody to vote that can. And it's gonna be an interesting week. Hopefully, a week from today, we'll have some answers to move forward. Looking forward to that. Are there any other, is there anything else to come before the meeting? We do have the need of a closed session on personnel and pending litigation. So if somebody would offer that motion, we'll do that. Who made the motion? Nobody, I don't think. Phil moves. Andy seconds. We're gonna move into exec session. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. There would be no action taken after we come back into open session, so. Okay, is there any other business to come before the board? Entertain a motion to adjourn. Derek moves, Andy seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. We're adjourned.